So hello and welcome guys. What I'm going to do today is just break down what I took to a recent tournament over aboard in Brum for a Middle-earth SBG tournament. I was asked on Facebook and Instagram, and a few people have kind of private messaged me regarding what I took for an Easterling faction. So I'm happy to go through it and talk through the list, just so you can all be aware. And try these things out for yourself if you obviously want to. That's by all means yours. I was going to write up a brief blog for the GBHL. They did ask me last evening. However, they've also then come back and said that they don't want me to do one because it wasn't a GBHL scoring event, which to be honest is a bit sad, because these events should be quite inclusive and should be trying to get a lot of people to Middle-earth SBG tournaments, so any sort of promotion of an event shouldn't be seen as a target against the franchise, especially when the GBHL was sent up by a handful of us older folk who just wanted to keep the hobby alive. So hopefully things will change in the future and it should be a little bit more accepting for other people if they want to get involved. But I'll happily pop it up on my YouTube channel. That's free for everyone to watch, and obviously if there's any queries and stuff, just drop a note on the comments and stuff like that. So the list was run at Board in Brum in Birmingham. The people there are lovely, really nice community. They make you a cup of tea in between games. It's a really relaxed and chilled out environment. It's a little bit of a trek for us around Oxfordshire. It's about an hour and a half away, potentially a bit more in traffic. But it's nice just to go up there for the one-day events that they run, just to support their community and help it grow. So on this occasion we did have 4 of us from the local area in Oxfordshire go, including myself, James, you see on the channel regularly, Paul Kelly, who's also been on the channel, and also Tom Smith, who's been on the channel. Each one of us bought different lists. Obviously my list is something I've not played before because there's new models in it, and again I'll explain what they do just so you have an idea, and I'll talk through the list in a moment. James took a 550 points list of Helm Hammerhand Legendary Legion, so Rohan. Paul Kelly took Army of Thrall list, I believe with Dwalin, Foreign and Thrall. And then Tom took Radagast, Guahir, 2 Eagles at 550 points. We all finished within top 60, so again in the top half of the kind of the layout. This was about, I think, a 36 person event, so a fair amount of people for a local tournament with not massive calling for people to come to it. It was more of a kind of hearsay, and kind of they don't really advertise it too well, so they've obviously got a growing community, which is nice to see. My army list essentially is pure Easterlings, so you may have seen my Easterlings on the YouTube and on the Instagram and stuff like that. They've gone down quite well, and I have to say I'm very pleased with them. And I've not seen a faction like this before, and I've been playing for a very long time. I've always wanted Easterlings to be a good faction for Evil because they are one of my favourites, but they've always lacked hitting power and kind of the heroes that you want, which has been a bit sad for them because you've just got so much better options out there. My list essentially is led by one of the new heroes that came out last weekend, so I picked her up at the GT because I was there last week. This is Rutabi, who is essentially a Easterling hero woman, general, which again is nice to see. She's defense 7, fight 6, which again it puts her level with Amda. Easterlings generally being better with 5 value, especially for the evil factions. She's got 3 attacks, 3 wounds, courage 5. She's very survivable, which is great. Her special rules essentially are unyielding combat stance, which is fantastic. So on a 4+ where she would be not prone, she wouldn't be not prone. So if somebody thinks they're being cocky and charging her with a mounting model, there is a 50-50 chance she'll stay on her feet, and that will kind of ruin someone's day. And that's also the same with what the Acolytes have as well, because the Acolytes are pretty good for their points, which again is great. She also had Master of Battle on a 3+, so that again is huge. Her being fight 6, most other heroes of men are usually 5-5. So in a straight matchup, she's got a good chance of drawing might out of people and potentially getting a strike for free. And also with things like heroic moves and heroic combats, there was a chance she'll get that also for free. But overall, yeah, she's pretty good. But if you're playing like a blue on blue, like I think in 2 of my games, I was fighting against Glorfindel on horse, who's 5/7. It didn't really come into play too much, as you'd expect. I was having to strike, and it was costing my might points just to try and stay alive, as it were. But yeah, overall she was very good. Hero of Valor. So in her warband, she was leading 5 Easterlings, 2 with Pike, Shield, and Black Dragon upgrade, as well as the banner there. The others just have shields and swords. And then she had 6 acolytes. So these have throwing daggers. Preternatural agility is a special rule. So on a 4 or higher, they technically roll a 6 when it comes to jumping over pieces of terrain and stuff. So they can run and jump over into combat and stuff like that relatively easily if they want to, which did come up quite a lot, and it allowed me to do cool stuff, which I was quite happy with. But they are only defense 4, so they get killed relatively quickly if they don't win their combats. In the other warband, we had the other hero that was in the pack, which is Broga. Broga essentially is a war priest general sort of character. So he's hero of fortitude. It comes with a really dynamic sculpt. Actually, it looks quite cool. It's quite a pleasure to paint that up. My wife did want me to sculpt a snowball in his fist, but I didn't get time to do that. But I think that's quite appropriate given how he's kind of chill with his grip up like this. But he has a few special rules. One is that he gets a natural 6 when casting. He gets to keep the will point, which is great to try and keep you with might, with will points to do spells, which is helpful. He has Fury, so again it gives them a buff of auto-passing courage tests, which does help in some ways when you're chained against a terrifying foe, which one of the armies I played against was 18 Morgul Knights and a Witch King on Fellbeast, so that was huge, getting them into combat and doing damage without Harbinger or affecting me. But generally these things don't mind too much on courage, especially if they're Black Dragon, because they're at least courage 4. In his warband it's similar as before, just less acolytes, so 3 acolytes, 3 Easterlings with shield, 2 Easterlings with Pike, shield and Black Dragon upgrade. And in my last warband was Easterling Dragon Knight on armoured horse, who's leading 3 Black Dragon cataphracts, because he has to leave Black Dragons in his, and he's a minor hero. Or he can now, with the FAQ, take Black Dragon acolytes, because that makes sense. My objective markers you've seen before essentially are just the Rings of Power, just on frozen bases, and then my relic, which I used in one of my scenarios, was Elsa from Frozen, just because it's a little bit of fun. I do have, missed that, I've got 2 bowmen who are essentially in this warband with Broga, so I don't have much missile troops. My army list totals 27 models, so it was only 14 to exceed my breakpoint. So relatively squishy army, but a lot of fun to play. I think if you were to try and optimize this, you may still ally in different troops, so something like you can put in your chariots and stuff like that. That gives you the hitting power and more mobility. I think that's probably a more effective way of looking at points, because you can potentially get someone like a Candish Chieftain on chariot, probably for the price of Broga, and one for the price of a Dragon Knight, which I think probably a much more effective way of paying costs for it. The person that did win the tournament did have something along those lines, so I think it was a lovely converted army of Easterlings, but it was Easterling and canned, because I believe he had 2 chariots in it, and they were mainly all mounted Black Dragons, I think, with cataphracts. So it was a good list in that aspect, and it was nice to see another Easterling in the Easterling-ish player in the top 3. The person that came 3rd I played and drew against, and they had probably one of the most competitive builds of Rivendell you could probably get at 550 points. So that was Glorfindel on horse, tooled up with armour, gondolin and everything else. Eristor on foot, obviously because you can't do anything else with him. And then I think he had 26 elves, mainly all with spears and shields and bows, and I think 1 Rivendell Knight. But I know him and his friend had exactly the same list, so they've obviously been playtesting what would work best from that. But other than that, I mean, there were some great games. I'm really happy with what we came out with, the results. They did end 3 wins, 1 draw, so undefeated. So I take it every day with Easterlings because they're not hugely competitive right now. I hope that they get better as the book develops and comes out with the War in the North. There's supposed to be big things to be said about when the Emperor comes out, the Dragon Emperor, which should be in the next few months as far as I'm aware. So hopefully we'll see different factions kind of creeping into top table events. And again, it's nice just to buy and support all the new Forge World models coming out and things, and the new books, because it keeps the hobby going. And again, that's what we all want to see, really. But hopefully that's kind of give you a nice breakdown of the list. If there's any questions or any queries, drop in the comments below. I more than likely will start playing a bit more Easterling kind of games for if people would like to see them and stuff. There is upcoming battle reports, so we start filming again soon. And then we'll obviously listen to feedback as and when it comes in. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Okay, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.